All right, here we are at Police Point Park today. So the light isn't that great. I'm a little bit later in the afternoon, but we're gonna try to do the best video we can and get you on here. So once again, genius me forgot the So we'll head out this way and we'll go down to the natural outdoor center. There's a center here where you can like do stuff in the summertime and build birdhouses and all kinds of things. It's a nature center, but there are people sitting out in front of the nature center, and we're going to be going into the sun, so it's going to be fun. So this is nature center. This is at Police Point Park in Medicine Hat. So cut to Police Point Park. And here you guys can see the of some of the pathways. Okay, we'll walk around this way and I'll show you guys the wildlife center. There's a parking area where you can come up and this would be the center here. They have like bird feeders and things for all different birds. Flaxseed. And we have like the entranceway here, and then we have public washrooms, family washrooms. And if we go into the back behind the outdoor center, they have series about the leaf linden. Arbor Day, May 1983. This tree here was planted at Police Point Park. So it's 41 years old. This tree here. So it's 41 years of tree growth. Then back here in the back we have they have a place back here where a lot of people do a lot of stuff. Came here and set up one of the hammocks that I bought, and they have a spot where you can sit and have fires. There's some nice picnic tables back here. And a central fire pit you can gather around and have fires at. So that's a good spot. Sort of cut in front of the sun. The sun's going to be in front of me for part of this walk, so I mean, it is what it is. Can't control the sun. Oh, the leaves. Love the leaves. It's fall. It's great. Great time to be out. All right, and here we are on the main path. We're getting back onto the main pathway here. From the parking area back that way. This way will take us into... Yeah, sorry about the light. The light's not going to be super fantastic because it's in front of me, so it's gonna... You see the cliffs up on the other side over there? Zoom in for you guys. You can see those cliffs over there. And they go all along the South Saskatchewan River. In parts of the South Saskatchewan River, not all the way down. It does eventually go into prairie lands and stuff. But the kayak trip along the river is an absolutely beautiful trip. Some of these trees over here, these trees are like up to a couple of hundred years old. Cool rock, what? These trees here are hundreds of years old, some of these trees. And up along here as well. During the flood of 2013, it damaged a lot of these really old trees. The flood was huge. It was a deluge, or whatever you want to call it. And you can still see some of the remnants of the flood that's still here today in Police Point Park. Those mounds there, those mounds are still remnants from the flood of 2013. And on this side, you can see them really good up along here. All these trees that are down in the grass. All these big old poles here. All that stuff's remnants from the flood that was washed up on the shore in 2013 down along the South Saskatchewan River. It had flooded. Epic flood. On the other side of the park here, where I'm looking towards now, there's a boat launch on the other side. I'll show you guys. Zoom into it. That boat launch on the other side over there. The sun isn't cooperating with us today, that's okay. Right there, right there. That is Strathcona Island Park. So Strathcona Island Park used to in fact be an island, and back in the 1920s and 1930s they had built a neighborhood on the other side, which is called the River Flats in Medicine Hat, and they ended up joining the island to the mainland. But it is rich in history. Strathcona Park was once used by indigenous tribes, and they would have their burial ceremonies on Strathcona Island, and they would have the bodies up on the pyre where they would be burned and laid to rest at that park. It's a beautiful park to walk. I'll do another video of Strathcona one of these days here. Yeah, they have beautiful, so in Police Point Park here, they have beautiful pathways all along the river where you can fish, and it takes you all the way up to where those cliffs are on the other side, which we're gonna go for a walk there now and check it out. But yeah, so. It's a great place to come. I've come out fishing here. I've come out fishing here. Sorry, I'm trying to get a good shot here with not in the sun. I've come out here quite a bit walking. I've come out here fishing. I have never caught any sturgeon out here because I don't sturgeon fish particularly, but some people do. And apparently the sturgeon fishing out here is like world class, from what people post and some of the pictures I've seen on some of the area fishing sites and stuff like that are huge sturgeon, beautiful fish. But yeah, Strathcona Island is a pretty neat place too. So this park in particular, they like to, well, families and kids, they like to paint rocks and hide them here. They hide them all over the park, and some of the artwork on some of these rocks are absolutely epic. pathways. I'll do a soft pass of all these pathways here. Hello. And all kinds of wildlife in this park too. There are hawks, bald eagles, woodpeckers. One thing that's interesting about Medicine Hat is there's no squirrels. There's no squirrels in the entire city. One of the reasons is because there's no oak trees here, or any other kind of trees that squirrels like. I know there are a lot of poplar trees out here. It's another old tree. This tree here, I spoke to somebody about 5 years ago, and they told me this tree here in particular, at its peak and before it had broken off in winds and like around the flood time and stuff like that, was 300 years old. And I believe it because there are some giant trees back here in this park that are absolutely amazing and huge. This is another one here. It's beautiful. It's lit up by the sun. Beautiful. It's another huge tree. And there's one way right straight into the middle of the screen. And then the further back you go that way, the bigger some of the trees are. There is a thing on this tree, and I want to see if it says something about it. It might. Some of the stuff through the park does say some stuff. This tree does not. This tree is 3 tree. I have seen all kinds of wildlife back here. There's deer. Some people have spotted cougars and coyotes back here in the park. I have never seen a cougar or a coyote. Sorry. Not yet. This tree here looks like a tree out of a horror movie. One time, this tree could talk. Oh yeah, you see it's like kind of all hollowed out in the center there. So next big wind or next big storm, or even the winter time coming up here, that tree might not be here next year. So we'll appreciate it and love it while it is here. These natural gifts that we are given are incredibly remarkable. The landscape. The landscape here is unlike you. I mean, I've seen landscapes all over the place across Canada, but some of the most beautiful landscapes I've seen are here in Alberta, Canada. Alberta, Canada has a huge mixed variety of places. It has a desert or desert climate going into Saskatchewan. You have the Great Sandhills Park, which is like a desert, and they have some kind of desert dunes out there. It's really neat. Haven't been there yet. That is on my bucket list of things to do probably next year in the spring. We have Red Rock Coulee here, which is going to be a planned trip. My next video is going to be at Red Rock Coulee. I'll be with my son for that trip. And we're getting closer to the river here, so these trails come up almost right by the river. But animal wise, yeah, I've seen deer out here. I have seen coyotes, actually. Seen one, but way off. That one on my last video from the other day, he was like 10 feet away from me when I was doing that bushcrafting video down on my bushcrafting spot. Unfortunately, I never got to air that video because I was making a bow drill, and the video, my process of trying to make that bow drill, I mean, I know everybody's different, but I wanted the video to be a little more quality, and I just got to put a little more of, I guess, a little more of an education into building a bow drill, because I had it, but I was just unprepared for the video, and it was more of a spur of the moment video I wanted to make. But anyways, sorry to trail off there. Coyote was in 10 feet of me. He was beautiful, but yeah, he kept pacing kind of back and forth. Didn't really make me too nervous because they don't really bother me, but during the day, sometimes you just got to be really careful during the day around coyotes, because if they're hungry, you know, they can become a little bit snappy and can't attack you. They're brave enough to attack you, but they'd be incredibly foolish to attack me. Other people that have dogs, which is great though, because their dogs at least will bark. I don't have a dog. One day, maybe. So we're coming up on the cliffs here, and then what I'll do is I'll zoom in and get you guys a really, really good picture and some really good video. So I definitely will stop once I get up here. On the other side, so these cliffs that are straight here in the front, or sorry, in the background center screen, are on the other side of the river. They start up on the south side of the city, which is the South Flats, and it comes up and around to a town called Vinerville, which is up on the other side, which is up, say like Vinerville is up here, and then there's a landfill right over here, up on top of the cliffs, way up on the other side. So we're gonna come up on these cliffs. When I get back to you guys, we'll be by the cliffs. And we'll be able to see them really clear up through here. And I'll stop and zoom in too for them. It's a very family-friendly environment through here. I'm just trying to be polite on to not get other people on video that don't have on video. These cliffs here in the foreground of the center screen, these cliffs were formed during the last ice age and carved out probably they were carved out about 12,000 years ago, from what I've read and from what I know about doing a little bit of history of the area. So I found out about the history of Strathcona Park. I had no idea that the indigenous tribes had done those types of burial type of ceremonies there until I read about it, and it was quite interesting to learn. I think anything indigenous about Aboriginal Canadians and Indigenous Canadians, to me, fascinates me to no end. Love reading about it. I love hearing about it. One of the things I love the most is hearing first-hand accounts and first-hand stories from the people who have lived here for generations. And one day, if I could get a video, maybe go talk to some of them, because I know a couple of them personally here in town, about going down to the Friendship Center and maybe doing a video. Because I know there's a few, but there's not a lot of videos on YouTube with their very rich and beautiful history. We're getting closer to the cliffs. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video today because I'm not going to pause it. And I'm not going to edit the video because I like to try to educate people as much as I can I'm not a walking dictionary or encyclopedia program, but what I do know is first-hand knowledge from people that I've talked to and especially at that nature center, they are incredibly informative on different subjects. Seen here, somebody's got they got like a little fort built or something like that, so we can check it out. Sasquatch house over here. Looks pretty cool. Could stay in it. If I was one of those stealth campers like some of these guys on YouTube, I would totally do it. I mean, nobody's gonna see you out here. Yeah, somebody built that's neat. Or maybe a bunch of people built it. Who knows? But there's several of them through the park here. I used to come back into Police Point Park, but more that way, down along the river. And I used to set my hammock up. And I'd just sit back there and read, you know. People would walk by and be like, who's this guy? Come over here and have a look inside. Oh yeah, you could totally stealth camp in here and nobody would even know. Because over here where we're at Police Point Park, is actually quite off the path. Well, it's not quite off the path, but if you wanted to stealth camp out here, yeah, I don't think anybody would really care. You just have to stay quiet. Hence the reason, stealth camping. You start having yourself a little fire, which, I mean, with all this dry grass, whew, yeah, that would be a huge fire. So, just my opinion, I would completely advise against it. These cliffs are absolutely astonishing and amazing. In the wintertime, you know, the snow falls here. Yes, this is a desert climate in the summertime. I mean, it's like, it can get up to 130 degrees, 120 degrees here in the summertime. Has been recorded, so it's not uncommon. Usually the last 2 weeks of July, first 2 weeks of August are, you can't even leave your house. Unless you have, you know, you're going to some place that's air conditioned, and, you know, the golf courses aren't air conditioned during that time of the year, unfortunately. I am an avid golfer. Got into the sport a lot more within the last 2 years. So my game has gotten better. I like to golf at a par 3 here in town, Paradise Valley. Beautiful golf course. Very well kept. The greens, things like that are very well kept. Fairways are very well kept. Equipment is very well kept, like their carts and stuff. Good golf course to have some beers with some buddies and shoot some golf. My par 3 is usually a bogey 6, or triple bogey. But this year I picked up my game. I only got 1 bogey, so I was only 4 over on some of the holes, and a lot of them I got par. I was right on. So I picked up my game quite a bit. And over the wintertime we go do the virtual golf, and it's cool because you can keep your game going in the wintertime too. This year I learned how to use a lot of my irons though. So here we are down at the cliffs. There's some people fishing or picking rocks. I'm just gonna try to be careful. Here. So here's where the South Saskatchewan River flows across, where Strathcona Island's up on the other side. And these are the cliffs down here. This is like right on the river. Beautiful spot. Great spot to bring the dogs down. Like I said, or if you have kids, you know, throwing rocks in the river, that's always fun. Or collecting seashells. There are lots of freshwater clamshells down here all the time. So I'm gonna zoom in here as much as I can. So there's the cliffs down at that side. There's trails all up on them too, like you can hike them. and you get onto the other side via the 41, Highway 41, and you can stop and get out and hike all the way up along these trails and stuff. So right on the other side, center screen, there are hoodoos up on that side. It's one of my bucket list hikes to do, is to hike that hike I showed you along the trails there and go up there and take some pictures and some video. I might do that as an upcoming video. Then I can show you guys up close. But in these hills here, it's sandstone, because like out here is a desert climate and a lot of the land out here is sand. So if you dig a basement out to a house, within less than a foot you're in sand. I've been walking along these here. I can get a really close shot of the hills. Sorry, like I said, I like to trail off, pardon me, but in the wintertime, the snow comes here and it is absolutely beautiful after a first really good snowfall. And these hills are under, say, a good like 12 inches, 13, 14 inches of snow. And it's just an absolutely beautiful sight. Come down here for New Year's Eve about 5 years ago. It's one of my most unforgettable New Year's Eves I'd ever had with friends. And we had fireworks and the kids, you know, it was, you know, my son was here and it was a fantastic celebration into the following year, which wasn't that great for me in particular. That was 2019 going into 2020. Just absolutely beautiful. It is so beautiful out here. Underneath these cliffs further down, and like I said in that one Red Cliff video that I did, it showed you guys there used to be mines. I don't know if there was ever mines for any of these cliffs, but you can see on the other side of these cliffs, if you follow the river down that way, you can see the coal seams going into the cliffs. And what mystifies me is that about 3 kilometers, so if you're on top of the hills here, about 3 kilometers down, you get into Vinerville, and just on the other side of that is a huge landfill right on the edge of these cliffs. And it mystifies me. I can't even begin to tell you why they would put a landfill by cliffs where you could have leaching into a beautiful river. But that's not up to me to decide. So, but you can see them in the sunshine there, right in the middle of the screen. So right here, just where my finger was, you can see the hoodoos. I'll try to zoom in a little further, like that there. And you can see them up there. You can see the cliffs on the other side of the river here. And of course, further down, probably about 2 kilometers down the river, somebody at one point had drove a vehicle off the cliff and it ended up sticking in between a bit of a chasm. So like if I could, like right here, right about there, it's a chasm kind of thing that goes down. Not at that one particularly, but one like it. And there was a pickup truck that was stuck in there for years and years and years, and actually got a chance to see it. And it was pretty cool. But I'm hoping that it was just a stupid party one night and they're like, let's see what happens, you know. I'm hoping nobody was in that vehicle when it went over the edge. I mean, these cliffs here, this is Thelma and Louise type cliffs. So yeah, you launch your car off these cliffs. You'll grow wings, that's for sure, not the kind that are good. So, not a good idea. Alright, I'm going to zoom you back out here. I'm going to go for a little bit more of a hike. But yeah, so these are the Medicine Hat Cliffs down here. So we're going to go on a little bit more of a tour. Like I said before, I don't edit my videos out because I like to try to be natural as possible when I'm doing a video and that kind of thing. Hello, Mr. Tall Shadow. So you see people have, I think, at one point, maybe looking for gold down along the river here. It's a pretty big hole, great big rock out. Might have been panning for gold down along here. I know along the North Saskatchewan River, which flows through Edmonton, Alberta, people do gold mine out there quite a bit. And considering the price of gold right now, the price of gold is up at a record high. So even an ounce of gold, you know, down here you can see some of the logs the beavers have cut, and they'll come and collect these logs and throw them in their dam. I remember as a kid, before I was old enough to go up north with my dad to go hunting, my dad would always bring us home a little beaver log or a little beaver stick like that, and we'd always put it in the garden where the beavers would eat it. Just a little one like this here, even this one's only about 12 inches long. Right there, you can see the beaver chomped on it. Yeah, there's a lot of beavers through here, and they have a couple of dams up along the one side. And up onto there's an island around this corner, but I mean, it's quite a ways around here to go. But this is where a lot of people do the sturgeon fishing, is out here. And from what I've been told, the sturgeon fishing down here is absolutely phenomenal. Some patio chairs. There you go. What was this? October 19th, 2024. Please do not remove my chairs from the park. I will take them home in December 2024. That's interesting. They're just left here by somebody probably fishing, and maybe they just came for a visit and left. You see down here where people have had a fire and stacked up some wood for a fire. Boy, it'd be a great day to have a fire here today. It's absolutely beautiful. November 7th today, 2024, and the weather is, it had to be 17, 18 degrees Celsius today. You know, 17, 18 degrees Celsius. Absolutely stunning fall day. People say that there are, like I said in some of my other videos, rattlesnakes and things like that down here in Medicine Hat. I have never seen one down here, never. And I've come hiking down here a lot over the years and stuff. Maybe I just haven't gotten lucky enough to see one, or fortunate enough to not see one, whatever the case may be. All right, so we're gonna head back. This is one of the reasons why people come and enjoy Police Point Park, is for the views. Now, when I bring you back, we're going to be on the other side, and I'll show you guys the other cliffs in just a few little minutes here. Ka-cha. See you guys back in a minute. So like I was saying here, like, if you look at the ground, that's all sand out here. So like, and it's the exact same thing as beach sand. It's absolutely beautiful sand, which I'm sure probably it's a great place to come for a little beach day in the summertime, and you're close to the river and close to the cliffs for a great view. When I come back, we'll be on the other side, making our way back to the vehicle and through those trees way over there. You can see houses up on the hill, and the other part of the cliffs where I'm going to show you is just on the other side of these trees. So when we get back, yeah, I shaved. It was that time. I was gonna do the whole Movember thing this year, and I can't grow a very good mustache, unfortunately. Yeah. My mustache grows kind of like space here, and then down, and it's like pencil thin. All right, we're back in a few minutes. This is about the time of the evening that the geese start to fly over. So we're just getting back to the visitor center now, or the wildlife center. It was a little bit further of a walk than I anticipated getting all the way down there, because I took my time getting there and wasn't paying attention to the time. That's okay. I'm hoping to make it to the other side of the park here, which is just not even a 30-second drive once I get to the parking lot. So once I get to the parking lot, it's not so bad, because then we're pretty close. Get in the vehicle and drive to their side, and hopefully I can show you guys the coal seams on the other side of the river. It's actually where the river comes around. There's a huge bend here that comes around, and on the other side of that river there is a sewage treatment plant. So the City of Medicine Hat sewage treatment facility is there. Also on the other side of that is a huge ranch, giant ranch, lots of cows. Just to show you guys quickly here. So this is Old Man Buffalo Stone 2003. I'm filming in ultra wide, just so you guys know. Old Man Buffalo Stone was created after I learned about the ancient carved stone formations across Alberta and Saskatchewan, stemming from my own personal discovery in the Manitou Stone in the Alberta Provincial Museum's Aboriginal Gallery. In Cree, the Manitou Stone is called Pampamiha Asini, the Flying Rock. It was the headstone of all the stone beings who guarded the great buffalo herds. Old Man Buffalo Stone is a literal rendering out of my imagination of a stone guardian watching over the buffalo herds. And it was carved by Stuart Steinauer, Saddle Lake, Cree Nation, Alberta. It's a beautiful thing about our province, you know, beautiful people, beautiful art. It's incredible. And this here is the stone that he had carved. The Buffalo Protector. Like I said, completely and absolutely respect it and admire it. All right, when we come back, we will be just on the other side here, and I'll bring you back when we're on the rocky beach. Okay, so here we are. We're on the other side now. So we were you follow the cliffs. Hello, moon, way up there in the sky. Another one of my favorite parts of the park here is going down to the river access. So there's some pretty cool picnic tables and things like that down here. Down this trail here, and you see birds up there. If we get lucky enough, we'll be able to see the giant what do they call them, a gaggle of geese, or when they're on the ground. And sorry, I can't exactly remember what they call it when they're flying geese. So. Starting to get to be that time of the day where the sweater is almost needed. So a couple of years ago, they had a really great art installation up here called The Lit Door, it was called, I think. So you can correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. But they had these doorways with lights around them, scattered out throughout these trails here in particular. And you'd walk up to the door, and there was no door on them, but it looked like there was. It was an optical illusion. and it was really neat. And in October, through the trails through here, they have the trails where I was just hiking through, they have a haunted forest, and it's a lot of families and stuff come down for that. When I very first started bushcrafting and learning some different spots, because I never had really explored the Medicine Hat Park's trail systems a lot, in like 2019 is when I started doing a lot more. And of course during COVID, I didn't stay in my house, I was out hiking quite a bit. Yeah, so we come down here and they have picnic tables. Great spot to come for a picnic on a beautiful fall day. They have picnic tables and fireplaces, and you can see the geese up there. And so they have fire plates and picnic tables all up through here. And let's go down the trail a little ways here. So you can see the other side of the cliffs. This is where it comes around to the huge bend in the river. Things to know before you go sign. Pause it, have a read. The thing about the City of Medicine Hat is they have some beautiful parks, and back in the woods, so down along this way here, is where I used to go back, and I'd set up my hammock, and that's where I'd go back and read. My favorite kind of books to read are outdoor books, of course. The SAS Survival Guide is one of the ones I have in my current library. But I also like science fiction. There's a guy in a boat. There he goes. Way out there. This is the other side of the cliffs here. And this is a huge rock beach that goes for a kilometer. And in between here and there's an island over there. This time of the year, you can't get out onto that island. The river is actually incredibly high because the mountains have had lots of snow and lots of runoff. This is one of my favorite things here. And right across, if I zoom in there, it's a sewage treatment plant. But this year is one of my favorite reasons to come down here this time of the year. This time of the day, hundreds and thousands of geese come flying right over top, and it is so beautiful and so peaceful. I love it. And there are a lot of airplanes too, because the airport's really close to the city. But the river is really high this year, this time of the year. Last year the river was not this high. I came out here fishing in the fall. I like to fish out here for walleye, if you can catch them. They've been kind of elusive for some reason. Yeah, the river here is really high. And they have some quite interesting myths about the river down along here. And so you go down around the bend and it turns left up on the other side of these homes up here, and it turns around this way and goes that way into the city. And just before it enters the city, where it goes by Strathcona Island, there's a myth down along that part of the river, an old ancient Aboriginal myth that there's a certain part of the river that never froze in the wintertime, and it was always open because there's a spirit in that part of the river, and that a person's dog had died. This is one of the myths, and it's an actual factual myth. A person's dog had died, and they threw the dog in that part of the river. And he had walked down the river a little ways, and the man could hear his dog barking and knew it was his dog. So he walked towards the dog. Dog ran right up to him. And story has it that his dog had come back to life because of the spirits in the river. And even to this day, long before the sewage treatment plant was ever there, we're going back probably 120 years, if not longer. This myth, back into the late 1800s, before there was any way this river could warm up by man or really anything. Even to this day, there's a part of that river that stays open all year round when it's 40 below zero, and it gets to 45 sometimes. Even 50 below isn't uncommon some winters out here. And that part of the river stays open and unthawed, and you can see the steam rising up from it. So, believe it to be mystery, believe it to be fact. It's all up to you. I enjoy listening to these myths and a lot of these stories. There is another myth and another story of somebody's wife was murdered. So somebody's wife was murdered down along that stretch of the river, and story has it they bathed her, or had baptized her in the water, and she had come back to life. How true that is, I don't know. I think that's just a myth. That's not quite something I would they threw her in the river, and apparently she came back to life and started walking amongst the living. And when you get down to, when we get back down to this island here, boop, right there, I've hiked on that island. I've hiked the entire island. I'm gonna zoom in. So on the other side, over here, you can see that there's cliffs right here at the very tip of my finger that kind of run real low. They're not the high cliffs up here, but the lower cliffs. And there are huge huge seams of coal that run all back up and through those hills. I'm not exactly too sure if they were mined or not. And then just in center screen here, at the very foot of these cliffs, is a huge ranch. Farmers got a cattle ranch out there. Ranchers have a cattle ranch out there, and the Medicine Hat sewage treatment facility is just there on the other side. And I'm glad the wind's blowing from west to east, thankfully. So, good for me. I love it when the airplanes fly over. Here he goes. Imagine the view these guys must get of the geese that come flying over. Is just, they go up there and they can see the geese flying under them and stuff. It's got to be a sight to behold as a pilot. And here we got a single drake, which is a single male duck. And you can hear their wings. The wind flowing through their wings. I'll bring you back out here. So anyways, that's our little adventure around Police Point Park. It is a beautiful place to come bring the family for a hike, for a day hike, whatever. No matter what part of Alberta you're from. If you're down in Medicine Hat, check out Police Point Park. I will do another video on Strathcona Island Park, which they still consider it Strathcona Island, on a lot of the brochures and on the map. But yeah, this is a beautiful place to come, and like I said, I used to come set up in my hammock just in those woods beyond these trees here, about a good 10-minute walk in, and I'd set my hammock up back there, and yeah, they'd be like, who's this weirdo in the woods in his hammock? Or of course they look at you like you're the homeless guy in the woods, because that's just the stigma everybody's got nowadays. So when I found out about Elkwater in the Cypress Hills region, where I do a lot of my camping now and a lot of my going and chilling and things like that. So I was just looking down here, you can see there's a huge pile of seashells, or freshwater clams there, that somebody had buried. But I know that people do fish them out of here and they eat them. So I've never tried one in particularly. I'm a mussels fan. I'm a fan of mussels. Yeah, I like to go to a certain big box store and buy their 2 giant tubs of mussels and just have a mussel feast. It's so good. Really good. But depends on your flavor. Some people like them, some people don't. Sometimes I like to do up a jambalaya, sausage, you know, prawns. Toss some mussels in there too. With some diced tomatoes, a little bit of fresh pepper. You can add some Cajun seasoning to make it like authentic. But one of my favorite meals is sausage and seafood jambalaya. One of my favorites that I love to prepare and make and cook. Do a lot of cooking. Try to. Starting to get back into it now. I've took about a year off of cooking and, you know, creating easy meals that were easy to prepare. I just kind of lost interest in it. But lately I've been finding new recipes to do and new things to cook and new things to prepare, so do quite a bit of that. Hi.
That's cool.
Yeah, YouTuber. But yeah, so you get lots of people out here for evening walks. It is so beautiful. And then like just up here on the other side, when I'm done my hike and the sun sets on these hills or on the cliffs there on the Vinerville side, absolutely beautiful in the wintertime too, with that yellow orange sunlight glistening off the snow. And it's a wonderland almost. It's just it's amazing. And it's one thing I don't do is take nature for granted. I love it. I love every bit of it. And I'm so thankful for it. Like, the things that we have are, you know, the beauty and harmony that is in nature. If you don't get to it enough, you got to start making that opportunity to get out into nature, because it's really cool and it's really fun. I come out by myself, you know, I did that Reeser Lake hike out at night. I mean, I'm not afraid. Like, you know, these Hollywood, or sorry, I don't even want to say Hollywood, but movies and things like that too, right? Make people sort of question the dark and being out by themselves at night or whatever, but how you doing? Good. But that's great. But I'm not afraid of the dark, like I said. I've gone hiking in it quite a bit at night, and even people say, oh, there's cougars, watch out. Well, I'm not too worried about them either, because you barely ever see them and they're way more afraid of you than you are ever of them. That's for sure. Alright, we're gonna end the video here. We're just getting back to the vehicle, and I will see you guys on YouTube. As the sun sets on another beautiful day in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada.